Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wicked Art. It is Wicked here, and today's time lapse. I'm sorry I get this out a little late, but this particular image was taking it quite some time to draw and work out. But I'm doing a two-page spread for my graphic novel. Our character's emerging and noticing something when she leaves the shop. But uh, but yeah, this is just for my graphic novel Chronicles of Andromeda. It's a two-page spread, so it's a little bit bigger. It's got more to the scene. So basically, what I did is I just drew everything up, and then I created a second layer for the backgrounds and drew that in. And now I'm kind of just coloring everything in on separate layers. So the whole foreground image with Rena herself is a separate layer with just a base color. And then I created a new color layer underneath the background lines layer to start painting in the rest of this particular scene from the capital city. Um, so yeah, I was just kind of trying to stick with the kind of Victorian era colors. So I know a lot of people will say, you don't want everything to be saturated and blending in. But I mean, honestly, that's the real world that we live in. Okay, when you go down to your downtown street and you walk downtown, every building's pretty much the same color. Pretty much. I mean, it just depends where you're from. But like if you're from if you go look up Victorian era towns, they're not all different colors. A lot of them are all made out of brick, the same color brick at that. Um, so with trying to bring this world to life and make it seem believable and things like that, I'm sticking with those things that are normal. Now there's certain parts where I'm kind of redrawing stuff because I kind of forgot, like, how did that clock tower look again? Um, when I put that in there, so I had to make some adjustments to a few things. And that's what I was using was some of the previous pages that I drew for this graphic novel was just trying to make sure that everything matched up and stays consistent. Um, you can see like on the sign there, I've got my own, I have like 7 different languages I've created and stuff like that, just to make it completely immersive. But I'm just going through and putting all these base colors down. For a two-page spread, I have to kind of, do the math right to calculate where it's going to split, where I want certain things in the scene, like things that aren't that important that are way far in the background. Doesn't matter if it really gets cut off at the mid-page point, but things like the ship that's passing by overhead and coming into port, Rena herself, making sure that they are in those central focuses on those pages. So when you open it up and it's a whole page, it's in there. So again, I'm just sticking with the kind of the society with uh, the human-like people is based off of more like a steampunky Victorian era. So I'm sticking with those browns, reds. For anything that's metallic, it's got like a brass color or gold. Um, but with the size of the image and everything that's going on, some of you might be looking at the artwork and going, well, it seems kind of basic. I mean, if you've ever watched my channel before, with this particular graphic novel, just this first volume, I'm keeping it kind of light, not necessarily light in the story, but just light in the artwork to be more like a Saturday morning cartoon, if you will, something like that. That way, it kind of just sets the tone as just building the world and creating it. And then when I get into my second volume, it's going to be more detailed, like what you see in like a Marvel comic and stuff. Like it's going to be darker and grittier. So just for this first volume, it's just going to have this look. Other things is when you kind of look at stuff in the background, there's a lot less detail because it's off in the distance. And if you really, I challenge you, next time you go look at a comic book or something, like go back and go through and look at the background and see how much little detail or a lot of detail there is. And that can also be something that takes up a lot of time. So like when I do these city scenes in that second volume, there's going to be a lot of detail that goes into stuff and take a little bit longer to produce. But my thing is once you kind of look at the flat colors and get everything in place. Like right now I'm just kind of painting in the windows with a basic like sky reflection on them. I'm just really trying to get the base tones down, um, and you can kind of see where the computer kind of cut off there. It was kind of overloading my computer a little bit with trying to record it and do it at the same time, so my computer crashes a couple of times while I'm doing this. Um, but yeah, once I get in there and get everything set, um, when you start adding the shadows, that's when it really begins to start, popping a little bit more. It's going to look a lot less flat, and things of that nature. So I'm just going in, and one place I do try to kind of keep the balance, like you see a lot of the red brick and the tan color tones. Um, I wanted to make sure they weren't touching each other in the background. So if a building had a tan, I wouldn't put another tan building next to it. I would change it to at least red, to at least get some kind of contrast to it. So even though there's still those kind of warm, uh, muted colors, that kind of, can darken a scene, they at least line up in a way that they're not going to over, and you just see like a sea of red. I did try to change that up some. So yeah, so I'm just going in, I'm just kind of painting all that in just to make sure it's nice and solid. There's a couple times you'll see me like zoom in really close because I notice like it's not filled in. Now for the Alphamirian ship, um, I wanted to kind of stick with their colors. They tend to do black, gold, and red, and then that blue in there is actually just going to be the base coat for a glowing effect to show the airship itself and how it flies. So a lot of the Alphamirian stuff has got that teal color and the beige in their building designs, but their actual clothing, ships, and things like that tend to be more red, black, and gold. So now I'm trying to set up Rena's reflection and the shadow. So because she's standing underneath that awning, when I do it, you don't have to show that much on the lighting part because she's being blocked. So you can see how I'm hitting up those edges and keeping everything underneath. So what I do is I just create a new layer above her color layer and just call that shadow. Set it to about 82%. And then I just get an airbrush and pick black and just kind of brush over it. And then the same thing for the background because I want to keep everything separate in case there's something I want to change. I just went above the background color layer, added a new layer, set that to 82%. And I just went in there and filled that in with a black airbrush as well. I'm using the lasso tool so that I make sure that I can keep the sides that are visible to the light that's coming into the city. I can keep those separate, so when I just, like you can see, I'm just going through like a madman and just, lassoing around everything, just setting up everything that's going to be in the dark side. That way I can just like super increase my brush size and just wave over it with an airbrush, and it'll just darken everything real quick and easy for me. So it doesn't, it seems like it's time consuming, it takes some time, but it makes it a whole lot easier that you're not stopping every 5 seconds to fill in something with a shadow color, just to make it easier, and you can see the whole picture when you're done. Then you can go back and hit Command Z if you have something you want to change. The next thing I wanted to do was obviously put the shadow on the underside of the ship because we're looking up at it, the sunlight and where it's hitting and where it's sitting in the city when it's arriving. So I just fill all that in, and then what I do is I go to the very top and I just create a glow layer and just add this glow effect to just show the energy coming from the energy. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you all for stopping by. If you like what you saw, please subscribe to the channel, like, share, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.